Hey, Green Machine friends and fans of fun. We have a couple of sales to get to, I guess, this week. We're gonna do 25% off back issues. That's all around. We're gonna kill our subscriber super deal. We only offer that every once in a while. And then the other sale is 50% off acetate covers, which DC Comics issued a bunch of acetate covers this year. I think the year before they did foils. And for some reason, we have a large amount of acetates. So we're going to have a sale on those, 50% off, which is a really good deal for a nice comic with a specialty cover. So come check that out. And anything else? Was there any news this week that you could think of?
Keeping outside of the virus stuff.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really. It is Super Tuesday, so by the time you see this, it's Not So Super Wednesday. So hopefully you got out there and voted. And I guess that's it. I don't have much other news. I didn't remember. I need to write down news, comic news, because I get in front of the camera and I just forget it. Let's start it off with Savage Avengers, and this again is Dugan, Geis, and Gomaras. This was awesome. What you get in this issue, though, you're not going to get Conan in this issue. You get a lot of Doctor Strange, but he's going to explore the history of Kulan Gath and sort of figure out that he comes to the conclusion that maybe he needs a certain barbarian in his life to help fight this guy. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, so come pick this up. It's great. Next is Flash 750. If you know any of these, I guess you'd call them milestone issues, because that's what they are. The milestone issues are generally split up about 3 to 4 stories, and they use different artists and different writers for each one. One of them will be in the mainline continuity timeline, and the other ones, it's sort of not really known. But it's a good issue nonetheless. I had a pretty good time with it. The mainline story is great. I'm holding a variant. I think this is the 80s variant, but if you pick up the mainline variant, you're immediately going to recognize that there is a certain speedster whose name starts with G, who is not quite in his uniform. So that's all I'm going to say. It's worth buying it for that alone. I love that character. I wish that character had his own series, to be honest with you. But yeah, come pick this up. It's great. Granted, that character's a villain usually, so... Next this is going to be my pick of the week. Without a doubt, 100% the pull of the week is Strange Academy, and this is written by Scotty Young, which is weird. Well, I mean, he does do writing too. Scotty Young, Humberto Ramos, and Edgar Delgado. This is, Doctor Strange has decided to start an academy, a magic school. So he gets a bunch of new students and a bunch of, well, he's going to have a bunch of magic users from across the Marvel Universe. It's great. Brother Voodoo is there. I love seeing anything with Brother Voodoo center stage. The new kids are amazing. I think I was really, really hyped for this because I had the weirdest dream that I was attending like a magic school. And, like, while I was at the magic school, I was having dreams of some weird purple lavender god. And there were, like, other kids that were having dreams of that, too. So I don't know what I dreamt. Like, it was, like, 2 nights ago. But I was sitting there. I woke up and was like, wow, man, I must be really hyped for this book. And I'm very, very happy to say it did not disappoint in the least. The art was amazing. The storyline was better than I thought it was going to be. It was really, really good. I want to know so much more about all the kids that are attending. One of the kids is Dormammu's son. That's weird. So, yeah, come pick this up. It's great. It's a really, really good time. Next is Ahoy Comics Billionaire Island. Now, Ahoy Comics can be kind of hit or miss. I don't like the paper stock on this, and I think Yogi said he doesn't like the paper stock on it. Something is about it is weird. The art was, I will say it's okay. It's not bad. The storyline was weird. It was basically covering a bunch of billionaires and how they've done trash things. And one guy in particular, he sort of sets them right and kind of brings them down a peg. Meanwhile, a reporter does an interview for a billionaire and winds up trapped in a giant hamster cage with a bunch of other people.
Does it have a little spinning wheel too?
It does.
Nice.
It does. So, that's a pretty fun premise. I don't know. I think we're going to see a billionaire get his just desserts. And he's a kind of a short, sort of balding guy, so we can all pretend he's Michael Bloomberg. I'm really tired of those ads.
Mike Bloomberg started as a middle-class kid who had to...
You know how we break the timeline? Do you know how we break the timeline? We get the words to be said by Michael Bloomberg. It needs to be, I'm Michael Bloomberg, but first, a word from our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. That's how we break the timeline. Completely. It will shatter. Like space-time will explode. Okay. Next is Transformers Galaxies. This is Leth, Edenfield, Milne, and Perez. And this is picking up after the Constructicons rise. This one takes place and it follows Cliff Jumper. Do you remember Cliff Jumper? So, if you don't know, a lot of people weren't, I don't know, I guess I'm showing my age, but when I was a kid and had Transformers, a lot of the smaller Transformers had counterparts where they were a different color but the same molding, and they would have a different name. And Bumblebee's counterpart was Cliff Jumper. Everybody knows Bumblebee. Nobody knows Cliff Jumper. He looks almost exactly the same, but has a different color. And he lives in that shadow too. It is very apparent. Everyone keeps calling him B. He gets mad. At one point, he calls himself B. It's great. So yeah, I had a really, really good time with this issue. It was fun. It takes place on another world where they're harvesting Energon and maybe doing something shady. But it was a really, really good read, and I felt kind of bad for old Cliff Jumper. So come pick this up.
That cover's amazing. It's got all those bumblebees.
Yeah, and he's like, just like, he's even signing autographs as Bumblebee. Like, that's ridiculous. Next is Outer Darkness and Chu. I did like Outer Darkness. I had a really, really good time with Outer Darkness. That's space, but in space they're using like dark magic to bend science to its will. Meanwhile, Chu is, well, the guy can taste anything and identify things, including eating corpses and get clues. Chu is not my jam. I think I read the first trade and didn't like it. So I know Chu is really popular and a lot of other people like it, so maybe you will dig it. However, this issue, it wasn't bad. I will say that. I had a pretty good time. It's weird seeing these two brands mash up. I can't think of any brands that are more different, but I didn't hate it. So, yeah, this is John Layman, Afuchan, and Rob Guillory. Come pick this up. Is it the same artist and writer? I kind of wonder. Yeah. So, anyways, Skybound. This is the Skybound imprint on Image. We will have this. Come pick it up. Next is Mercy, and this is Mirka and Dolphos. And that's the only name I see on this, so I don't know if there's another person involved. Anyway, so this story is essentially, it's a horror story with a Victorian edge, and it's a mystery. So you get a horror mystery with a Victorian story, and it's pretty good. I had very little to complain about. The writing was fun. The art was very fun. Something about this art was just amazing to me. But I will say this, it's not for kids. There is some sex scenes in it, so it's definitely not for kids. But it's still a pretty good issue. Come pick that up. Next is Christopher Cantwell, Salvador LaRocca, and Guru Effects. Of course, we're talking about Dr. Doom. This has been just a buddy cop story we didn't realize. Between Kang the time traveler, Kang the Conqueror, and Dr. Doom, and how Kang just sort of keeps falling through time, and he's displaced and confused, but he's tied to Doom, so he helps him out. Meanwhile, Doom is trying to get Latveria back. It was a really, really fun issue. I laughed the whole way through. It is definitely the issue we wanted between these two characters. There are times where they just start busting each other's balls, like yeah, well, they are friends, but more like almost like brothers, like soldiers in the army type stuff. So, yeah, I had a really good time with this issue. Of course, someone like me that would appeal to. So I have very little to complain about. The art is just to die for. Something about, they're really doing a lot of good stuff with this art on this issue. I mean, this whole run has had good art, but this one especially seems great. So it'll be here. Come pick it up. Next is Marvel, not to be confused with Marvel X, whose cover, looks very similar in my opinion. Now, what you get in this issue is you get a few stories, a few different writers, and a few different artists. Now, the art is just top tier. I'm gonna say that, but you have to really like different art styles. If the only art style you like is the current modern run of comics, and you can't branch off from that, you might not like it. I will say that I'm not entirely. Yeah, that's what I figured. Is Alex Ross is in on it. Yep. So. You get Alex Ross's art. It's amazing. You get a watercolor scene it's pretty good. It's definitely different. You get an old-timey story, too, with a, it's kind of a modern old-timey art. It was a really, really good showing, but you have to honestly like different art styles. If you don't like that sort of thing, you don't like variants in your comics, then this is not your jam. But I don't know anyone who doesn't like Alex Ross, so I think just for that story, you would probably do all right for buying this. Next is Vampironica New Blood. This is issue number 3 of 4. It seems like we had 2 of these, and then they took a huge break. Like, I didn't see them for quite some time. This is centering around, well, the first vampire in this particular timeline, whereas in the Jughead the Hunger timeline, the werewolves won in this big fight, and that vampire died. In this timeline, it got flipped. So Vampironica is trying to figure out where this guy currently is to either get his help or deal with him. So it's Thierry, Moresi, Mock, Herms, and Morelli. I had a pretty darn good time, but I'm really biased to this Archie Horror line. Is it Archie Horror or Archie Madhouse? It's Archie Horror now. I'm really biased to this. I have a really good time with these books, so yeah, take it for what it is.
January.
Next is Superman. Wow, it was a couple months. Superman Villains, issue number 1. Not to be confused with Superman Heroes, which is also on our shelf. This is very much similar to the Marvel book out this week. There is a bunch of different artists with a bunch of different art styles telling a bunch of different stories. Are they all mainline? Maybe, maybe not. I will say that there is one story in here that had me in stitches, and it was, I'm going to spoil it a little bit, so if you don't want it, go like 30 seconds into the future. But it is basically Lex Luthor checking his answering machine, or his voicemail, and finding that he has 96 messages, and each of them is the Joker laughing. And he just gets more and more angry as this continues. It's so good. I laughed really hard at that. The whole thing is great. It's honestly a really, really good read. I will say there are a couple stories where I was a little on the fence with the art. Some of it was kind of iffy to me. But there's little to complain about. You get a lot of story here for, is it $5.99? So good buy. Come pick it up. Next is Valero O'Connell, Angelo, and Bruni. And this is the Ring of Fire, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, does it center around Buffy? No, it centers around another Slayer, actually. I can't remember her name, but I did have a pretty good time with this character. It was honestly a good showing. Granted, it's not the usual characters, but they've reached the end of their first story arc, which was the Hellmouth. Weird to be the first story arc having the Hellmouth open up. But anyways, but it was a pretty good showing for that. This is issue 13, so they're going in a new direction. They're telling another tale. And yeah, so it's a good showing. Okay, our next book is Strange Adventures. I'm holding the variant. The mainline cover is amazing too. This is, if you don't know, this is something I was super looking forward to. This is Tom King, Mitch Gerads, and Evan Shauner. And if you don't recognize the Tom King, Mitch Gerads team, they did Mr. Miracle, which was, in my opinion, I think it was one of the best trades I've read in quite some time. I had such a good time with it. But again, everybody knows I'm a huge Tom King fan. You can come and talk to me about Tom King's Batman run, and I will just gush all day. So you can take it with a grain of salt. Now, this follows Adam Strange sort of after he's got his fame and before he's got his fame. It's multiple timelines. So it has him in Iran fighting for the Iranian Empire against the I can never remember the name of that enemy. It's like PBBY Picket. PYKKT. Okay, so he's fighting them. Meanwhile, he's flashing back to the Earth timeline where people are like, "You're a hero! Like, sign my autograph," and like that sort of thing. And he's hanging out with his daughter, his wife, and stuff like that. Meanwhile, somebody calls him a war criminal and says that he murdered those terrible people back on the Iranian people that weren't a part of it. So then he's dealing with like negative press. And how does he counter that sort of thing? And how does he explain that he wasn't a war criminal on like another planet? And then that guy who accused him of that winds up dead.
Oh.
Yeah. So now people are like looking at him and he's like, I don't know how to handle this. Like I'm an action hero. I'm not a detective. So yeah, it's gonna get fun. It's gonna get really fun. Like they're gonna go from there, and I'm not gonna spoil any more of it. But if you know the DC detective landscape, you know the people he tries to involve, and it's really good. Again, though, this is DC Black Label. There is some love scenes in it. You need to be warned. This is not for kids. It's a really, really cool story, though, and I don't expect kids would like Adam Strange. He's sort of an old-timey sci-fi hero that I really like, but I can't imagine, like, I
don't know.
I don't think any kids would know him.
Retro sci-fi was like a 90s.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, but this will be on our shelf. It's great. It's honestly really, really good. I think you should come pick it up if you're a DC fan. Next is our go and no-go list. We will do Fast, Furious, go, no-go, one sentence about it, and move on. Rescue 2020. Honestly, it's a go if you really, really want Rescue. I like seeing Rescue. I think it's a go for me, but it's a no-go if you're sort of on the fence because the story was not that strong. Okay. Batman 90, go. Had a really good time. There's a lot of fun in this run so far, and they're getting to the bottom of stuff. Go. Marauders, go. Sad face. I'm worried we might not see Kate Pride again. Ooh. Go. Spider-Verse issue 6, the wrap-up. Go. Really, really good. Great showing, great ending, had a good time. Go. Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Miles has a new baby sister. Go. Aww. It's sweet. Go. The Sumerian Queen of the Black Fist. This is Conan Uncensored as Robert E. Howard wrote it. It's a go if you really like Conan, but if you're easily triggered by things, it might be a no-go. Robert E. Howard could be an edgelord at times. Justice League Odyssey. Go. Had a good time. They're still doing all the weird stuff out in space. That's all I'm going to say. Dexter's in it. Go. The Crow, Leth. This is a new Crow who comes off a Circus Freak show. Should we say it that way? It doesn't seem very nice. But it was a pretty good show. Go. I need to cough. The Magicians, issue number 5. It's the wrap-up of the first arc. Go. I think the next thing is Alice's story. It was a pretty good wrap-up. Go. Spider-Man Noir, issue number 1. Although, we just had an issue number 1, Spider-Man Noir. And we did. It was good. Go. Had a good time. I like his universe. The Magnificent Miss Marvel, introducing Amulet. It is a first appearance. I don't much care for Amulet, if I'm honest, but it was a really good Miss Marvel issue. Had a good time. Go. Oh, that's it.
All right. Wow.
Well, okay.
Oh.
Ready? We have a bunch of new posters this week. Although, I think we should put the Strange Academy over. So that one might not be bad. $2.29.
That is going to be Casey DeVargas.
Casey DeVargas. You want to post it? 31.
Diego Guzman.
Diego Guzman?
Might not be active anymore.
I don't think his account is active. It's fine. Diego Guzman. If your account is active, you want to post it. 26. Got all these low numbers.
Yeah. James Lintata.
James Lintata, you want a poster, and that's our show for this week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess 3 minutes. Oh, and like and subscribe. Do that.